everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie. So I wouldn't usually film with wet hair, but this is the first time that I have two neighbours that are renovating, one here and one across. This is the only time in the last 2 days where they haven't been using incredibly large drills. So it's like 7:30 at night. I'm in my pajamas. I have a cup of tea that I just made, and why wouldn't you want to feel extremely cozy as I talk about some of the most depressing books that I read this year? This is my favourite non-fiction of 2019. If I had an intro, this is where it would go. So we're just gonna jump into it. I'm not going to be going into too much detail about each of the books, but as I mentioned, they're kind of the most upsetting ones that I've read. So I will throw out a couple of trigger warnings for the books that need them, even though I probably won't go into too much detail about said things. So I feel like as well I should put a disclaimer that you've probably heard me talk about all of these books multiple times and you're quite possibly sick of them. So sorry, but also not sorry. So firstly, The Arsonist by Chloe Hooper. This is I feel like an especially timely book right now, and it was also timely when I was reading it. This is a book about the Black Saturday bushfires that happened here in Victoria in 2009. So this was released in 2019, which is obviously when I read it, which was the 10-year anniversary. And of course, I'm sure you've all heard about the terrible bushfires that are happening here at the moment. My family and I are safe, but obviously a lot of people aren't. So I feel like this might be one that I might even try rereading in February. This is a book about a couple of the fires that were deliberately lit, and it goes through the day, the police investigation and the trial, and kind of what happens afterwards. Sorry, I have a suitcase on my floor right now and Percy is just climbing all through it. So yeah, would highly recommend this one. So that one, trigger warnings, there's some pretty graphic depictions of death, and obviously bushfires. So yeah, that's definitely one that you need to be mentally prepared for, especially if I had family friends who passed away during the Black Saturday fires, and also that one did get very close to my house and my grandparents' house. So that one, scary, scary times. Staying with the depressing theme, this is Shout by Laurie Halse Anderson. I say depressing, these are just maybe mentally taxing is probably more the word. Emotionally taxing. This one is about Laurie Halse Anderson's experiences with sexual assault as a teenager, and what led her to write her best-selling book, Speak, which is a fictional story of a similar account. This one really, really got to me. A lot of these really did, and I guess that's why they're on my favourites list. I just think Laurie Halse Anderson is an incredible woman, and I don't mean that in a way to put down what she went through, but more that she has decided to use what happened to her to help other people. I think that's a really difficult thing to do, and to speak so openly about her trauma is a big thing. So I really think that she's an incredible person for doing that. On the same kind of vein, I guess, I have The Little Girl on the Ice Floe by Adelaide Bonn. This is Adelaide Bonn's experiences of sexual assault as a child while living in Paris. This follows her from her childhood up through adulthood. She gets a call from the police one day saying that they think they found the man who abused her. So it also goes through his trial, and this was really one of the most upsetting books that I've read. Adelaide Bonn went through a lot, and it was kind of hard to read at times. I can't imagine some of the things that she went through, especially as like a teenager and an adult, that stemmed from that one event in her childhood. So really difficult to read at points, but definitely worth the read if you think you can get through it. Obviously these last two have had trigger warnings for sexual assault, and so does this one, unfortunately. This is Night Games by Anna Krine. This is about a young woman who was sexually assaulted by some AFL players following the Collingwood win in 2012, I think it was. Yeah, so this talks about that. It also talks about some similar events from rugby players and also members of the St Kilda football team, which is unfortunately my team. And it also talks about the bigger picture, which is sexism in sport. This was written in 2012, 2013, so there are things in here that aren't the greatest, but I think if you look past those things, that it does have a really great base talking about these things. And I think if you're a reader who is well versed in the Me Too movement and such things, that you can kind of apply what's happening today to the events that were happening at the time. Okay, moving away from that topic for a little bit. The whole time. We don't talk about sexual assault anymore. I read some of those back to back, I just realised. This one is How to Write an Autobiographical Novel by Alexander Chee. This does have some sad moments in it, but on the whole I would say that it's a hopeful book. There's a lot in here about being a writer, becoming a writer, how to get there. And there is also quite a bit in there about the AIDS movement, which Alexander Chee was a part of. And this is just a great collection of essays. There's a little bit of everything in there. So would highly recommend that one. Back onto a little bit of a heavy subject. We've got This House of Grief by Helen Garner. So this one is about a man who on Father's Day in 2005 drove his car into a dam while his 3 young sons were in the car. He made it out alive, but they unfortunately didn't. And this is a book about his trial. This made me really angry. I remember this happened in Melbourne. I remember the event, and I remember I would have been 10, And even then, I didn't for a second believe that he hadn't done it on purpose. So this is a great book, and Helen Garner definitely approaches it with grace, but I still just felt immeasurably angry at him, and I don't think that's something that I would ever, like, I feel like if I came back to this book in 10 years, I would still feel as angry as I did reading it now. Now we're on to some kind of happier subjects for the rest. So I have This Is What a Feminist Looks Like by Emily Maguire. This is a book about Australian feminism and the sort of history of it. I loved this book. I sort of realised while I was reading it that I didn't really know anything about Australian feminism. I guess I kind of always looked at like it on like a global scale, and I knew a few things about the UK and the US side, but really nothing about my own country, which is a little bit sad. But this is just great. Emily Maguire has humour in this, as well as just like she can be serious, but she can also be like really, guys. And it's just like a really well designed book. There's some images in there. As you can see, there's little like infographic sort of things. Just a great read. I would highly recommend this to anyone looking to learn more about Australian feminism, whether you are Australian like me or from somewhere else. I just think it's a great book to sort of learn a little bit about feminism here. I feel like this one is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone, because I feel like I talked about it a lot in November, and that is Women, Race and Class by Angela Y. Davis. I have such a literary crush on Angela Davis now. This one, again, is a view of feminism that I knew a little bit about, but not a whole lot. This is from a woman of colour, and specifically looking at the African American feminism throughout history. There's kind of like a few different parts of it where it also talks about getting the vote for African American men and how that sort of impacted women, and it was just a really interesting read. And it did also kind of make me angry at some points where I was just like, the white feminists in here made me want to like, I don't know what they were doing, but they were being idiots. So I can't wait to get to more of Davis's work in 2020. And then finally, again, no surprise, The Saturday Portraits by Maxine Bemba Clark. I feel like I'm a broken record, because I feel like I always say Maxine Bemba Clark is one of my favourite authors, which she is. This is really great. This is a collection of portraits that she wrote for the Saturday paper, and they're about different people that were in the news at the time. So there's like Prince, and there's a really great one on Santa Claus, and like Roxanne Gay when she was here in Australia, and Obama and Hugh Jackman, and all these incredible people. Would highly recommend this one. This one is light-hearted. Maxine Bemba Clark has a great sense of humour and a really great way of writing that makes you feel kind of like you're just sitting down with a friend, and she's hilarious and I love her. So there we go. That was my chill little favourite reads, non-fiction reads of, my hair is really annoying me, like what is this doing, of 2019. I'm still getting really confused about what year it is, but yeah, I'm so glad that I finally got this video done. I thought I was gonna run out of time, and I think I still have like 6 videos to film in 2 days. Yay, I totally planned this out really well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys hopefully on, actually I know I will see you on Monday because I already have that video up. So you will at least see me next Monday if I fail the rest of my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a cozy night too, and I'll see you then. Bye!